I do want to talk about the coaches and really like
Yeah.
what's at stake from a macro sense. Now, both of these coaches have, won so many games at their schools. They're among the young rising stars, faces of the sport, but both of them have struggled to win like this type of game, a top 5 showdown. The games that, define legacies. I mean, we've talked so much over the years about Ryan Day and his record against Michigan. He's lost to Georgia. Dan Lanning couldn't beat Washington, also lost to Georgia. Like, these are the kinds of games that define coaches, and neither of these coaches is very good in this setting. So one of them will win it. That is the positive here. But like Joshua, when you look at both of them, let's start with Ryan Day. How do you set up what's at stake for him?
Well, I think there's more at stake, right? Like Ryan Day was at the point in this offseason where there were a lot of people, and we're talking fans, we're talking former players, that were not impressed. They weren't impressed with the loss to Michigan. Certainly, they were not impressed with the performance against Missouri in the bowl game. And then to watch Michigan win the title, I think just was the icing on the cake for a lot of people's feelings this offseason. And so there's pressure, and the narratives have been out about Ryan Day in the big games, right? And just to point out, neither one of these coaches lose to unranked opponents. It's not something that they've done. And I do think there's credit that is deserved for that, because we watched what happened last weekend with some of these top teams. Like, you gotta be able to win the ones you should win too. But again, everybody, when you get to this level, wants to win the big game. So I think there is pressure. I will say, I watched practice. I spent the whole day in the building. These guys were focused, but it wasn't tight. Right. Like they were very workmanlike. I heard the Tuesday practice was off the charts in terms of the intensity and the physicality. Wednesday was very sharp for them. So I think they're locked in, but I don't think they're trying to make too much of it to the point where guys are like, stressed out. For Dan Lanning, I've said this. I started saying it last year. I said it all through the offseason to you. Dan Lanning and Ryan Day are the same guy to me, right? They're just in different stages. But what we see out of Dan Lanning is really what the start of Ryan Day's career was, where he was the top 5 coach and he was the guy who was kind of next up. And then as we got further into it, he didn't win the big games and we started asking the questions. I think this could be the game where people start the narrative on Dan Lanning of, well, when are you going to win the big one? Or can you win the big one if they don't win this one? So more at stake for Ryan Day because it's more urgent right now, but I think Dan Lanning could start to feel that too.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's so hot for Ryan Day. This is a team that was constructed for a national championship run.
Yes.
It's championship or bust, and it's been that way because of the NIL, the retention, the guys like Emeka who came back, then bringing in Caleb Downs, bringing in Quinshon Judkins, bringing in Will Howard. Like the standard is so high there. And this year, considering 3 losses to Michigan, as you mentioned, Michigan winning a title, it just couldn't be a bigger, more high-pressure situation for Ryan Day. And so this is the type of game you absolutely have to win, even though we could very well get a rematch of this in the Big Ten championship game. I think there's way more pressure on the Ohio State side of this. And again, I think that they have the clear edge coming into this game. I think they are a more well-rounded, better constructed roster right now. I have less questions about them, but I do think there is a lot of pressure under Ryan Day. And if you win something like this, maybe that just changes like the rest of the season and the course of the season. Like you said, the focus level, but the tension that has existed there since we were there in the spring for the spring game. Like it wasn't like crazy tense, but there was I don't know, my like shoulders tensed up just like thinking about it, right? Like there's pressure in the spring. I've been in
that building where it's been like that, where it has been tense, and that is a big deal. And this does go a long way to your point of not relaxing, not necessarily having the exhale, but of just like relieving some of that built up pressure and tension.
Yeah. And again, just proving that you can win these kinds of games, because to win a national championship with the 12-team playoff, you will have to win multiple games. Like you will have to get through a gauntlet to get there. So this is going to be a fascinating one. Cannot wait to watch it. Joshua, can't wait to get your preview in your feature in our pregame show. So everyone definitely tune in at 7:00 Eastern on NBC. Cannot wait. 2 versus 3 showdown.